Good morning on day one of the Cammino di Dante. I've just left the city of Ravenna in Emilia-Romagna, and over the next 7 days I'm going to be crossing the plains here and then up into the Apennini. The original plan was to walk to Florence, but Easter is in a week and I already had plans. We had some fun with the accommodation, which I'll talk about later. So I'm going to be walking for about 7 days and should be ending up in a place called San Gaudenzo. For the moment, let's enjoy this glorious, very early spring day. The Cammino di Dante is a 20-day hike, a joint venture between the regions of Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna. Inspired by the travels of the Florentine poet Dante Alighieri, it links places that the poet was directly associated with, or places and people he mentions in his greatest work, the Divine Comedy. Dante was born in Florence in 1265 and died in exile in Ravenna in 1321, and the hike links these two cities. It begins at his tomb in the centre of Ravenna and takes a northerly route to Florence over the first 10 days, and then returns to Ravenna via a more southerly route. I had 7 days to hike in the week before Easter, so hiked between Ravenna and San Gaudenzo, about 124 kilometres through sun, wind and rain. Lots of rain. The terrain varied from the flat agricultural fields of the Po Valley outside Ravenna to slopes described in the guide as a challenging climb with considerable gradients, and they definitely weren't joking. The first 2 days took me to the delightful hamlet of Oriolo dei Fichi, following the Montone River from Ravenna. It was 2 days of sunshine and blue skies, mostly, beautiful hiking, and incredible, expansive landscapes. Coming up to the halfway point on the first day. Today is very, very flat. We're walking about 19 kilometres, and in that 19 kilometres I believe we have about 17 metres of ascent, so not such a difficult day. We're following the course of the River Montone for the whole of the day today actually, and at the end of the route we'll arrive in a place called Passo Vico, and I'll be staying in an agriturismo, so I'll have a proper bed, shower, all that kind of nice stuff. The accommodation, as I mentioned, is a little bit more varied, so 2 nights I'll be spending in, I guess, religious accommodation. 1 night in a church hall, another night in an abandoned friary that's now run by the local village community to keep it open and keep it structurally sound. I have 1 night in a tent, and I have 2 nights in bivouac shelters in the woods. One is set up and managed by the Association of the Cammino di Dante, and another one is an actual wood store, or little hut that's been built out in the forest that I can use. So interesting to see how all of these different accommodations work. It is a bit frustrating having to carry a tent just for one night on a 7-day hike, but it was either that or I'd have had to completely change the dates of the hike again. So this hike has been quite the time in the planning and the making. So about 15 kilometres in, about 4 left to walk today. It's been incredibly easy. I'm just walking along the levees on the side of the river, crossing over a couple of times, mostly through just incredible agricultural land. We're kind of, I think, in the southern end of the Po Valley, so we're in one of the most fertile parts of Italy. The weather forecast was for late showers, so forecast from sort of 4 or 5 o'clock onwards. I'm starting to see the cloud banking up on my left, so to the sort of south of me. I'm almost holed. I've been walking pretty much due southwest, so I should get to my accommodation before we have any problems there. Tomorrow I believe we're having sort of a mix of cloud and sun and a little bit warmer than today, but overall perfect walking weather. It's just absolutely fantastic. Really enjoying it. I think I always say that, but it's true. So this is where the Cammino di Dante and I part ways for the day. There's only one accommodation place along the route. It's just across the road over here, but there was nothing available for tonight. So I now have a little bit of road walking for about a little bit under 2 kilometres to get to the place that I'm staying tonight. It's at Turismo. So let's see how we do. Should be there probably about 3:30ish, which is a little bit earlier than I said I would arrive, but we'll see what happens. Okay, let's go road walking. Good morning on day 2 of my hike on the Cammino di Dante. We've left the rather wonderful little agriturismo that I stayed at last night. A lovely couple running it, very comfortable, very simple, great food, and a whole bunch of animals and some of the cutest dogs that I think I've seen in a long time. So today we're heading to a place called Oriolo dei Fichi. It's a tiny little hamlet about 17 kilometres, 18 kilometres from here. And then towards the end of the day we have the first of our real ascent, about 160 metres up. Should take me, with filming, should take me about 6 or 7 hours. I'm not going to rush. It's another beautiful day. The rain that was forecast last night didn't arrive, so everything is still lovely and dry. But let's get going and see what the day brings. It's not necessarily the most fun place to stop, but it is certainly the first place with any kind of shade today. We're about 6 kilometres along the hike, so I've actually done about 8 kilometres. It's very easy walking. It's as yesterday, very flat. We're following walking along the dikes, following the river. The challenge today is that I'm walking with the sun just off to my left, and you are quite exposed. There's been zero shade at all today, and unlike yesterday where the sun was a little bit hazy, it's the full glare of the sun. So it's getting a bit warm up there. We're about probably 8.5 kilometres in on the walk. One thing to note about this particular leg is there are no water fountains and there are no settlements, I guess, of any kind. What you have to my right are basically the various farms and farm buildings associated with the agricultural land here. But apart from that, there's nothing. So you do need to remember to bring yourself some lunch, some food, and plenty of water, especially if the day's hot. It's pretty exposed up here. There's not really a lot of shade. So I'm carrying 2.5 litres in total, which should get me through the day. As I said, it's just over 18 kilometres in total for the official hike, so that should be sufficient for my needs today. It's actually quite incredible how what were just slightly coloured smudges on the horizon yesterday morning when I set off are today beautifully clear, well-defined hills and mountains receding off into the distance, giving me an idea of what I've got to come over the next few days. So found a little place in the shade to stop and have some lunch. I was given a piadina at the little agriturismo, so when I left this morning. So it's cotto, so ham. Just going to sit here, eat this, have a break. Got about 6 kilometres or so to go, and it's about time that I had a rest. I've not actually sat down since I set off this morning, so I'm probably going to stay for 30-40 minutes before heading off again. I don't want to get to the accommodation tonight too early. And so, once again, this is where the Cammino di Dante and I part ways. I'm actually going to parallel the road, going to my left, to get to the church that I'm staying at, the Church of San Mamante. And I have no idea who they are either. If I were to go to my right, I would be taking the road that goes directly up to Oriolo dei Fichi. But obviously that road is literally going to parallel the one I'm on, so tomorrow I just have a little sort of cut across to pick up the route again. So, let's get the final bit done. So I've arrived at the church hall. I've got my lovely bed there that I'll be sleeping on tonight. It's a bit fresh in here. I was told there was no heating, but obviously this is one of the reasons why I've been carrying a sleeping bag with me. Tomorrow night I'm going to need the sleeping bag and the inflatable mattress as well that I've got. And the night after that the same. But it's a roof over my head. There's a little kitchen through here. And there is a bathroom which I can use. It's in a separate building, but until the priest actually arrives to turn on the water heater, there's only cold water available. So I think I'm going to wait for that. He said he's going to be here sort of early evening. So I'm going to have a sit down, make myself a hot drink, and have a bit of a rest. So, what is the connection between Dante and Oriolo dei Fichi? In the Inferno, Dante talks about someone called Frate Alberigo. And this is actually Alberigo Manfredi. And the story here is one of betrayal between two cousins who were fighting for power. Alberigo had invited his cousin Manfredo to dine with him with the expectation that they were going to come to an agreement, that they were going to reach a settlement. And at a signal, he said the words, let me just see if I can find them here. He said the words, vengono le frutta. And these were the words to start the slaughter of his family. He was exiled, and he actually came to stay here in the tower that you can see behind me, or the precursor of the tower that you can see behind me. So, a story of betrayal and murder within a family. And this is why we're in Oriolo today. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the videos. Please do like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow.